All right, hello, welcome back to the One Bar and Lupagus Show. I am Lupagus with a day two recap of the Minnesota Vikings free agency. Um, Gotta be honest, not a lot happened for the Vikings today. They didn't sign anybody, not like the big splash they made on day one. Did not add any new names into the fray, but there's still plenty to talk about. The first being just the guys who have been sniped from the Minnesota Vikings. They showed interest in cornerback Shaq Griffin from the Seattle Seahawks. He was signed by the Jacksonville Jaguars today. Other than Marvin Jones, he was their only real noteworthy signing that they made. And of course, it happened to come at the expense of the Vikings, who are also interested in this guy. Another cornerback the Vikings are interested in, William Jackson, has signed with the Washington football team to play football for the football team. So yeah, two big names. They both got bigger contracts than the Vikings could probably afford anyway. But still, it rubs that they are no longer an option for the Vikings, as it got fans very excited when we were hearing their names tossed around. Before we get into some interests the Vikings have been showing in other players who are still available, let's just talk briefly about the Vikings, former Vikings who have not yet been signed. Actually, I should touch on the restricted free agent guys. Vikings didn't tender any of the restricted free agents, which means Mike Boone, Chad Beebe, and Afidi Adenabo are all free agents at the moment. Of the three, it sounds like Chad Beebe is the most likely to return. There's mutual interest between the Vikings and himself. So if you want Chad Beebe back, great. I don't know. I was high on him in year one, down on him year two. He was okay last year. Makes me nervous as a punt returner, but I do understand. He's a quick twitch guy. Pretty solid hands. I just don't trust him as a returner, but he does give you that flexibility. If your guy goes down, whoever the primary return man is, you got Chad Beebe on the roster who could fill that role in a pinch. So he does have some value. We'll see what happens with Chad Beebe. But the guy of those three I'd hate to lose is Mike Boone. I love that guy as a third option on the backfield, tough runner, violent runner, physical, and good speed, can catch the ball. I think he will find a home with somebody and actually end up having a pretty productive year for whoever he ends up with. Again, Eric Wilson's still out there to be had. His market's been pretty damn cold. Not a ton of linebackers getting signed right now, so we'll see what happens there. Maybe they're kind of waiting for the dominoes to fall on that one. But Eric Wilson was a guy I would have thought would have signed by now. And then Anthony Harris, not much buzz about him. Other than that, the Minnesota Vikings are interested in bringing him back. Personally, I don't know. I'm just so down on him after last year. I know he had some young corners playing in front of him, but it looked to me like he just gave up in the game against the Saints. And to see that from a professional football player just leaves a bad taste in your mouth. And I still haven't been able to flush it. So Anthony Harris, we'll see what happens. I guess, not that he gives two shits, but he's got to win me back as a fan. We'll see what happens if he does come back. All right. So there are some players who Vikings have been linked to, have shown interest in, that are still out there. Will Parks, the safety we mentioned yesterday, he's still around. Vikings have not made a move for him yet. Another safety they've been supposedly have an offer out to is Keanu Neal of the Atlanta Falcons. Big old thumper. Love to see this guy next to Harrison Smith. He can come up line of scrimmage, lay a smack on somebody. So Keanu Neal would be a lot of fun to see him back there. He does tend to get injured quite often, but it'd be fun to see a new face back there, and that face be Keanu Neal would make a lot of Vikings fans happy. And again, Anthony Harris, sounds like the Vikings are trying to bring him back, so we'll see what happens there. Going to the cornerback market, the one name that has been tossed around that the Vikings supposedly have an offer on the table to is their former second-round pick, Mackenzie Alexander. I didn't want to see this guy go last year. I think he played okay for the Bengals a year ago. He only signed a one-year deal. They have not brought him back at this point. So Mackenzie Alexander, I think a lot of Vikings fans would be happy to see him back. There's a guy who we got to see struggle year one, got a little bit better year two. Year three was pretty damn good. So you actually got to watch his growth, watch his progression. Excellent blitzing cornerback. Put him in the slot, moved Gladney outside with Dempster on the other side. I think that's a pretty damn good trio of corners moving into the season. So I'd love to see that happen. Hopefully it does. We'll knock on wood. Again, you got wide receiver Keelan Cole still out there. Again, that wide receiver market's crazy. No one's really had that huge signing. Corey Davis is probably the biggest name to sign so far. You got names like Will Fuller out there. You got Kenny Galladay out there. I know I'm forgetting a big one. Then T.Y. Hilton's out there, but there's still another guy, Juju Smith-Schuster. So there's still plenty of options out there. maybe the Vikings are sitting back and just waiting for that market to set itself before they put an offer in on Keelan Cole, a guy who I think has plenty of upside, still young, and is familiar with their new wide receiver coach, Keenan McCardle. So those are the names that are still floating out there that you've kind of heard the Vikings link to. There has been some guys who were released today that I think the Vikings should show some interest in. Center guard Ronnie Hudson from the Raiders. He's been a long-time center, can play some guard. I wanted him way back, and I think it was a long time ago when he came out in the draft. I think that was the year we got Jared Allen, but I think he's probably going to want too much more money than the Vikings can afford. Dennis Kelly, defensive tackle from the Titans, was released today. Underrated player, solid player. You could plug him in. I think he would start for us day one. Another corner from another Titan who's released, Dory Jackson, the cornerback. This guy did struggle a little bit. You look at some Titans bloggers, YouTubers, Twitter guys, they a little bit down on him, had a bit of a down year, seemed to be the guy who was targeted last year. But again, he was hurt. But he does bring some dynamite returnability, so that would be sweet just from that angle. And maybe he's the guy who looks for a prove-it deal, 1 year kind of a deal. I don't know. But I wonder if the Vikings would kick the tires on a Dory Jackson. And David Andrews, the center from New England, was released. Maybe you take him with the thought of moving him to guard and shoring up one of those guard positions. We'll see. Again, I don't know what he would come in on the open market. But again, the fact that he's out there, I think the Vikings should at least, sniff around, see what he smells like. So that's it. Day 2 of free agency. Vikings were quiet. Other than, well, they did release Shamar Stephen, so that was long overdue. Save about $3.75 million there. I don't know why it took so long, but it was well deserved on his part, and a move the Vikings had to make. So we'll see. Hopefully they can get at least one of these guys we talked about. Hopefully a couple. Then you will really start focusing on the draft, see where they're going to target and what position makes the most sense early and often. So that is your day free agency day 2 recap. I was hoping the Vikings would have made a move. It is, Rick Spielman's striking hour, but nothing has happened at this point. So, all right, we'll be back. Hopefully, I'm sure we'll be back tomorrow. Not hopefully, we will be back tomorrow with day 3 recap. Hopefully, the Vikings have signed someone else by then. Until then, guys, be sure to always, for God's sakes, always keep your skull in your hole.